Here we presents the top 5 best Wi-Fi routers. Starting at number 5, Netgear Smart Wi-Fi Router. The Netgear R7000 is a new router from Netgear in more ways than one, and is the best Netgear has made for home users to date. Indeed, it offers quite a lot for the price. It's powered by a dual-core processor that runs at 1 GHz, which makes it the fastest 802.11ac router from Netgear, and among the fastest on the market. On top of that, the R7000 also offers a few unique features not available in Netgear home routers before, including a built-in op-amp server, the support for Broadcom TurboCam for a faster Wi-Fi speed cap of up to 600 megabits per second, and the official support for third-party firmware, such as DDWRT. And when coupled with an external storage device, the router is also Time Machine backup ready. The R7000 is just slightly larger than the R6300 that came out more than a year ago. However, it has much larger footprint because the new design makes it stay flat on the surface instead of standing vertically, and it's much bulkier due to its 3 detachable external antennas. To make up for that, it's now wall-mountable, which the R6300 isn't. The router is housed in a plastic chassis, but it feels solid and sturdy. I also like the fact that its skin doesn't attract fingerprints at all. Similar to the R6100, the R7000 is very easy to set up. The router comes with a preset Wi-Fi network with its name and password printed on a label on its bottom for the 2.4 GHz band. With this information, you can plug the router to an internet source using the included network cable, turn it on, and you're good to go. If you lose this label, once everything is plugged in, the first time you run the browser from a connected device, it will take you to the router's Netgear Genie web interface. After a few seconds, the interface will show you the same information for you to print or write down. From then on, if you want to further customize the router, just go back to its web interface by pointing the browser of a connected device to www.routerlegend.net or the router's default IP address, which is 192.168.1.1. The default login credentials are admin for the username and password for the password. Alternatively, you can also download the Netgear Genie mobile app for the same job. I personally prefer the web interface since it's much more comprehensive than the mobile app, which is convenient, but only permits customizing a limited amount of settings. For more information and price, check out the product links in description. At number 4. Netgear R6700 100 NAS. Netgear's R6700 is a large router that packs a 1 GHz dual-core processor that's designed for large homes. It is a mid-range router that supports up to 450 megabits per second on the 2.4 GHz frequency band and up to 1,300 megabits per second on the 5 GHz frequency band. It measures 11.22x7, 26x1, 97 in, and weighs a little over 1.6 pounds. The R6700 is part of the Nighthawk series and uses the same housing design as its bigger brother, R7000. The R6700 is very sturdy, and it has a wide base with rubber feet, so it won't slip and slide all over a surface. Netgear's Nighthawk routers can be wall-mounted if space is limited. Netgear is using the same exterior design as the popular R7000 AC1900 Nighthawk and the R6700. The internal hardware components of the R6700 are identical to the R7000. The only difference is that the R6700 only comes with one USB 3.0 port, whereas the R7000 has one front USB 3.0 and one USB 2.0 port on the back. I will be comparing the R6700 to the R6400 in this review, and you can read my review of the Netgear R6400. The R6400 is not part of the Nighthawk series, and simply replaces the R6300 V2 at the same price, but with better performance. Here I have the R6700 and R6400 side by side, so you can see the difference between the two. The first thing you will notice is how glossy the R6400 is. Not only that, but the R6400 is a dust magnet, as you can see. Another thing that you will notice is that the R6700's antennas are longer and thicker. Netgear's R6700 R6400 use 3 external antennas and beamforming plus to improve range, extend coverage and reduce dead spots for large homes. The antennas on the R6400 are adjustable, but non-removable, and the reason for that is to keep the cost down. The R6700's antennas are adjustable and also removable. The R6700 only has one front USB 3.0 port, whereas the R6400 has a second USB 2.0 on the back. On the front of the router, there's the Wi-Fi and WPS buttons which can be turned on and off, and right below the light indicators, you have a USB 3.0 port. Halfway of my listed number 3, TP-Link AC3200. With so much kit in our homes reliant on a strong wireless connection, a tri-band router, such as the TP-Link Archer C3200 makes a lot of sense. This router has a single 2.4 GHz network, but can provide two 5 GHz 800 to 11 AC networks. It means that you can use one 5 GHz network for streaming devices and one for your other devices, so that you won't suffer from Wi-Fi congestion. Traditionally, tri-band routers have been quite expensive, and, while not exactly cheap, the Archer C3200 is surprisingly well priced, something that we've come to expect from TP-Link. Part of the reason for the lower price is because the Archer C3200 doesn't quite have the latest technology. That means that there's no MU-MIMO, and throughput tops out a theoretical 1300 Mbit per second on the 5 GHz channels. Admittedly, there aren't any MU-MIMO clients at the moment, but the technology looks set to become very exciting in the future. With MU-MIMO, a router will be able to separate out different users, giving them their dedicated bandwidth, improving performance. Likewise, as support for faster than 1300 Mbit per second 800 to 11 AC comes, this router will not be able to go faster. That's not to say that the Archer C3200 should be dismissed out of hand, as it's still an accomplished router in its own right, and there's a lot to like about it. We're big fans of its design, as it's one of the smallest tri-band routers that we've ever seen. Rather than having an ungainly mess of antennas, the Archer C3200s fold up from the center of the router and are evenly distributed. There are 4 gigabit Ethernet ports around the back, which is the minimum that we expect nowadays, plus a gigabit Ethernet WAN port. This means that you'll need to have a separate modem to plug this router into, as it can't connect to ADSL/VDSL connections directly. Finally, there's a USB 3 port for sharing printers or storage over the network. Coming in at number 2. Linksys ZA83